Hello and welcome everybody to week 9 Otter Talk for the Diamond League. We've got a lot of exciting stuff. We've got some great guests as well. It's myself, Alk Battery, joined by Isaac. And for our guest today, we've got Final Boss Diamonds Walt. We've got Mars in the 4 awards Jost. And we have Rigor Mortis. Wait, what? Wait, I have Ligma.
What?
No?
Wait.
I already have Ligma.
Wait,
I already have Ligma. Sorry, I just announced. I announced the trade. I announced the new trade coming in for playoffs, guys. I'm sorry, Jost. Your contract's already up. I'm sorry, brother.
Oh my god, it's over for me.
Yeah, it happens. Omega Goober is Jost. Sorry, and we've got Rig joining us from GBC. Please tell me I'm right, guys. Please, I don't want to get this wrong on the third one.
Yes.
All right, okay, awesome.
So, yeah.
We've got Wookie as well producing, but now that I've already botched the intro, let's just get right into it. Walt, how are we doing? Thank you for joining.
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I could be better. I already had to watch 50-minute games from last week, so you know, we could be doing a little bit better. Jost?
I'm good.
You excited for the games?
Yeah. Like the final week is always like really exciting. So.
Awesome. And Rig, we finally got you on the show.
Yep. I'm good. Just got home. Just took my boots off. We're good to go now.
Okay. Awesome. Well, we can kind of just hop right into it. Isaac, we had a pretty fun week 8 coming in. I know we had a really awesome game for the stream last week. Yeah. And this week is just gonna get better. Like we still have that last spot for playoffs that we have to lock, and anything could happen. Obviously, it's an Art of War series, so I think it's only right that that's the case. But we've got a lot of exciting stuff still here for week 9.
Yeah, there's a lot of ramifications for seeding. Currently, because of a few of the matches have already been played, Goobers won 2-0 in their game. Congratulations, Jost, over that. And also, Ketamint's managed to take a 2-1 victory off of Mars in the 4 awards, which means our top 2 is locked in as Akuma Sabers and Omega Goobers. So a lot of focus is going to be in around that final playoff spot in 6th. Ketamint's taking that victory there. If we do have 2 0-2 matches, if TPF Tempest and Grown Boys Click do lose both their games today, Ketamint do manage to sneak in. So there'll be a lot of focus around that final position coming into this week.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited. We already have 5 of our teams already locked in for playoffs, which I think is really, really cool. And the fact that we have one more just means that we're not playing a bunch of nothing burger games, which is, I think, more of an issue, obviously, as we get further into the season. Like you're saying, I want to give a more formal congratulations to Akuma and Omega Goobers for getting their top 2 slots locked in. Depending on their seeding, obviously, is up to whether or not Akuma Sabers can kind of push it together and finally pull a win, which is pretty surprising after 2 weeks of losses. But let's kind of go really quickly into our predictions. Like we said earlier, 2 of the games have already been played. So Omega Goobers versus Final Boss already occurred. We also had Mint versus Mars. Mint taking a pretty big upset victory as well. So kind of just want to talk. Why am I the only person for TPF, guys? What the hell? What's going on here? Josh, what's up, dude?
I mean, I don't know. Somehow recently they've been winning a lot, but I mean, like I think their earlier performances during the earlier weeks kind of still linger. So I don't really have that much confidence in them. But I mean, they 2-0'd us, so I mean, they're the goats. So my bad. Maybe I should have put them.
Yeah, I mean, sure, they're pretty close in the standings with XG and TPF. Whoever wins this series, specifically if TPF are able to win this series, that is their chance to be able to make it into top 6. And I have been on Otter Talk very prevalently, just saying like I think TPF have what it takes to make top 6. Have they been able to show it in the first couple weeks of the season? No, but my thing for them has always been they're like 2 steps behind making top 6. They're always so close, but just not able to really piece it together. They've also have gone that kind of revolving door of top lane. They've been kind of shifting through different top laners. Chief obviously starting on the roster at the beginning of the season. Then we had Olympian eventually come in, and that's been kind of rotated out. We now have Fire Ninjas who's been playing. So I'm really hoping for those guys. We had Billy on the show last week talking about wanting to carry the momentum, and I'm excited. I kind of want to see the boys kind of make it through. Real quick, since we do have you, Joss, and we have a couple of the other guys here, we can kind of talk about the matches that have already occurred. So the Omega Goobers game, if anybody really kind of wants to take this, what ended up happening in this game? Because I'm seeing we've actually, Walt, we can come to you. You were at least playing in some of these. What happened in these, bro?
Felt like, well, I don't know. Josh can attest. I feel like bot was kind of just a back and forth early game, and then once mid game and late game reached, I was useless and he was not useless.
Yeah. It's the Corky fall off, and then yeah, utility wins as usual.
Yeah, and so if like I don't know, top side of the map was very back and forth in all games, but they ended up winning both because they just had a pretty large lead in the top side of the map.
Yeah.
Walt, I wanted to ask, what's been going on over there on the boys? Obviously, you guys unfortunately got put on a poster by Coffee like a couple weeks ago when he posted the video, and you guys have not been able to pick up a win since week 8. So there was those 2 weeks in week 7, week 6 where we're like, okay, what's going on? You guys took 2 losses. What's kind of been going on over in the camp?
To be honest, I don't even know.
No, all right, man. Nice.
It's been kind of an identity crisis. So we gotta definitely change something up for the playoffs. I guess you could say we are quote unquote sandbagging for sure. Absolutely. We're just holding all our strats close to our chest right now.
Nice. And okay, so I want to ask from your opinion. Obviously, like you can have a different opinion. You can say that like maybe I don't agree with some of this from your team, whatever. You don't have to be super vocal, but I wanted to ask like from your point of view, like is it the patch? Do you think that there's just something not clicking with the team? Well, what's up?
I think something's not clicking, but I mean, patch early in the season was like really good for us because like we're a really strong jungler team.
Yep.
So it's been kind of a little different with these past patches, but I think we'll be able to bounce back for playoffs.
Okay. Well, I'm excited nonetheless. You guys were a team that looked really, really good. Obviously, I think the first 3 weeks, I think week 3 was when the first time we got to see Shocky actually die. So there was some fun going on. And you guys had some pretty good rivalry between you and Akuma up until your guys' match. So I'm excited to see if you guys can pull it together now that you guys are essentially already locked for playoffs. You guys are at the very least going to be finishing 6th. Kind of going down the list though, we already talked about the TPF Tempest. We have Mars in the 4 wards losing to Kediment. Rig, do you have any outstanding opinions? I don't know if you got to catch the match history and kind of look at that for a second.
So Kediment, they just picked up a new support, if I'm right. The Q-Sing Stars. I played a couple scrims with him. That dude's actually pretty good. Pretty damn good support. So I think him just joining the roster is like a big swing for him. So him, if Rain can actually, not troll and play solid too, I think it's actually a decent team now.
You're very real for that. I watch Icy Rain, and that guy is a tempo demon. He just does not care about his lane. I saw that Warwick game, and I got nightmares. I was like,
he can be a monster. He can either troll the game or he can carry it. So it just depends on that. But that support's very good actually. Top tier.
Yeah, I was saying, everybody's been kind of hyping him up. I was seeing him in general chat. People were like, hey, thinking about, this guy as a player. I saw that they were playing stuff like the Vhagar and Camille, which went very terrible, but they still won that game for some reason. So I'll be on the lookout. I'll put a little bit more respect on Keishing and see what they can do. Kind of moving on, we've got Akuma Sabres versus Elysium. Elysium does have a chance to potentially make a break into top 3 if they're able to, or they're actually locked at 4 and 5 if they're able to win this. But it would mean if they win, Akuma are going to be at 2nd place. It seems like across the board we're a little bit split here. So, Jost, give me the rundown. Why do you think Elysium's got it here?
I mean, Akuma's been kind of faltering these recent weeks, and I think I don't remember which week it was that we played Elysium, but I think we lost to them, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes.
But like, I think Elysium like definitely has a chance to win. I think this is the week that like it's like most likely that they can pull me off of Kuma, and we need Elysium to win for first seed. So I'm just like rooting for them, I guess.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair play. Fair play. Fair play. Walt, obviously, you know, we've been seeing kind of Akuma take a step back for 2 weeks in a row. They obviously played against Omega Goobers last week. How are you feeling about this team, and why do you got them here winning today?
Well, I can't really say much because we lost to them, so and that's why I'm voting for them. We beat the other team, so I think Akuma, even though I've heard they've been struggling, I'm sure they'll be able to pull out a win and secure first place.
Okay. And how dominant are we thinking about it today, guys? For either team, are we looking at this actually being a very close series, just because Elysium has been really streaking wins up until last week up against TPF? Or
Yeah,
is
I mean,
it,
I
is this one
voted
where
for
we can close it
2-1.
out?
So
Okay. Jost, Rig.
Oh, I put 2-1 for Elysium winning. Yeah.
Okay.
I put 2-1, but I think Elysium could actually 2-0.
Okay.
There's a good chance.
I think it's
Elysium's a
very
team-
likely.
Oh, yeah. They draft good, solid comps. They can, if Akuma messes up draft at all, they're just gonna win the game based off draft, and they're gonna play solid macro every time.
I think if Akuma messes a draft, I think Coffee's just killing his 4 teammates. I'm sorry, guys. or his coaches. You know, whatever happens there. We have our last match, which is GBC versus Art of War. This is the big ticket match for whether or not Grown Boys Click can keep their spot in playoffs alive. Obviously, we've got Rig here. Rig, what has it been like over in the camp? You're kind of the replacement for Drid. Kind of talk through with us anyway about what that's been like and kind of what the team's looking like right now.
So I joined the team 2 or 3 weeks ago. I played three matches with them, and we scrimmed once. So I'm still learning everybody's name, but I think the team in general before I got there, they're a pretty solid mechanic team. They seem like, you know, a bunch of really good solo queue players, so I'm hoping I can come in and bring like some competitive stuff to it, like, you know, more macro, more draft, and I think that'll make us a much better team. Hopefully.
Rig,
I could just tank it in.
I am not familiar with your game, by the way. I know a lot of people in the server. Obviously, you're kind of chatting it up in staff general for a little bit, but kind of give me a real quick spark notes on what you've been doing here and kind of your history playing in competitive.
Bro, I'm a yapper. I suck at the game. I do first round exits in playoffs every time. Yep, that's it.
All right,
Played in
fair
several
play.
leagues. Yep.
Nice.
Certified yapper.
Well, fair play. I know everybody's got GBC. I think the expectation should be that Grown Boys Click. However, for the funniest timeline possible, I think Art of War getting their second win of the season at the very end would just be real cinema and would be really awesome. Also, it would mean that we get that weird situation we're kind of waiting on TPF, and depending on their kind of track, whether or not we're going to be seeing them. So that's going to be a big ticket, especially if we're kind of talking about it. Let's go ahead and move on towards our players of the week for last week. So this would be for week 8 of the Diamond League. I want to congratulate. I already congratulated them in chat, but we can kind of take a look. We've got Dwomni versus Mars and versus Final Boss Diamond, which that game was a banger. That series, the first game, I had to watch a 50-minute game. The second one here, Carbill for TPF. I think his Nocturne was really, really strong. And yeah, talking a little bit more about Dwomni just for a second. This guy in Aurora was just doing nasty things to your top lane.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if Walt was kind of I don't know, Walt, if you heard him in comms the entire, or you weren't here for that first game. He was doing very, very mean things to Shactus. That was not great. The back end of that series, what was it like kind of playing against Mars?
I mean, I know Cray, so it was a fun matchup for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, we've been a little slumped, so it's been a little struggle, but I'm sure we're gonna bounce back. So
Yeah. Hockey. We were talking about this, Isaac, on the show, but we were like, okay, if this is like the permanent solution or if this is like a permanent substitution coming in for Omega, like I was kind of on board. I think Hockey played 2 very good games, but the sample size obviously just isn't there. His Hui game was just awesome. And that entire series, if anybody wants to go back, that was on the mainstream last week. Please go watch back Omega versus Akuma. That was an awesome series to have. So, Jost as well, congratulations for getting Player of the Week this week. I think your Kaisa game in particular, game 2 was really pivotal. Obviously playing the AP Kaisa. I know you and I had some okay.
Controversial pick.
Look,
oh my God.
I covered both sides of it on the stream. I said I don't like it. The nerfs are there. However, AP Kaisa outranges the 2 damage dealers on this team. So, you know, I covered my bases. I can disagree, and it's still, you know, I can give you a little bit of that. So it's fine.
Yeah, that's fair.
And Kraydog. Kraydog has been really, really standout. Let's go ahead and take a look at that Mars game, actually, because this is a game where they had Mountain Soul, and Dwamni was absolutely running top lane. And I was thinking, okay, this should just be the end of the game here. And Dwamni just puts up an amazing performance. I mean, his Aurora this entire game was incredible, and kind of showcasing what is actually possible with this game. And I do like the combination of having the Jarvan, the Ahri, just being able to lock them all up with an Aurora ultimate. He gets a quadra kill in this fight. If we want to really start flaming players, I'm okay with that. You know, if you steal a penta, you deserve to get mocked. It's just how it goes. But after they win this team fight, they just TP in and they end the game with 6 grubs. I know I was messaging some of the guys. There's a screenshot of me messaging Dwamni and saying, I think you're allowed to punch Crisp in the head after this game. And they seem to agree with that one. Chris 10 especially, he was in chat, he was defending himself a little bit. So having a little bit of fun with the guys. And we can take a look at our second clip, which was, if I remember correctly, from the TPF game. So this is the game that I was talking about where they're playing Morgana jungle. I just want everybody to watch Carbill, and I'll slow it down here as well. We've Morgana shielded the Alistar, who still has ultimate. So he can just turn off this. And you can see his Jinx, who has no flash, no barrier, no black shield as well, while there's a Mumu on top of him. And Carbill wins this game, by the way. Carbill gets to win this game. So I'm glad that he performed a lot better in game 2. I feel bad for Tough Daddy. I know Tough was kind of complaining, saying I have 600 CS on Rise and I still lost this game. Happens. If they are watching, if you're going to play Rise Amumu, please Rise ult the Amumu into the enemy team. I'm begging you. You didn't do it one time this entire game. That's very sad. So, yeah, and because we're at the end of the season, Isaac, I don't know if you got to see the graphic a little bit earlier, but we do have our top 5 players for the regular season. So, on your screen now, just real quick, Isaac, is there anybody that you feel that is not on this list that maybe you would have, you know, given them a shout out on this?
Jockey for Final Boss Diamond. I think there's definitely a lot of recency bias not including him. I can understand why. I think a lot of the junglers in this league have been very good, and I could see why he wasn't included in the end, since like he's definitely 6th if we're not including him 5th. But I think Jockey's a little bit hard done by, because I mean he went almost week 1 me 2 without dying and was
but dying on jungle doesn't matter. Those don't matter.
Well,
that does not matter to me.
Not only that, I mean he pretty much ran the league for about 4 or 5 weeks there. So if we're talking about the season as a whole, even if it hasn't been great recently for Final Boss Diamond and Shocky, in these last 4 or so weeks, I would have still included it just for.
That's like half the season.
yeah, but I mean, once you get towards the bottom, Carbill, it's very very Jekyll and Hyde. So it's like it's kind of hard to. I could like I said, I can see why Carbill was the eventual choice for that 5th position, but I think I might have included Jockey simply because those highs were so high.
Sure, but, I mean he played some great jungles. Let's kind of just go through this real quick. I already talked about this last week before I made the list, or before I kind of submitted it, but I'm talking about it in the Diamond General chat. I had a really hard time outside of top 3 for top lane. I think, unfortunately, there was a lot of top laners that were pretty random. And we can kind of talk about this from some of your guys' positions. Jost and Walt, since you've kind of been playing for most of the season, how do you feel about this 80 carry list? I know that there was I think fifth place I had a really hard time placing just because I was like, there's maybe 2 people that I could put here.
Who was the other person you're thinking?
Oh, I have Walt there.
Oh.
But like I literally
Oh.
was like Walt or Nightmare, and I was like, about how I like kind of what Isaac was saying. I think some of the recency bias is there. However, I think also Walt will agree that the team as a whole just hasn't been like performing in the past couple weeks, and when you're not really kind of showing consistency in a 9-week season, especially for 3 to 4 weeks at a time, I think that really hurts your ability to get in there. I think there's also just one like Walt Kaisa game that I just saw him like he did the Matt G where he just flies in and dies instantly, and I'm like, okay, cool. That one hurt. But I think everybody in the league has gotten one of those Kaisa games, to be fair.
Everyone does that. I've done that.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, that was wrong comms. Okay, I was told it's only 2 people, and then I ult in, and there's all 5 of them there. Okay.
All right. Well, you can blame like whoever made that comment. You want me to call him out real quick?
No, it's okay. That stays within the team.
Anyway, yeah, I wanted to ask, how are we feeling about this list for 80 carries at least, for where you guys are at?
I'm pretty sure, at least in my opinion, like me and Matt 1-2 is fine. Like arguably interchangeable. Oswald being third, yeah, I can see that. I mean his stats look really good. I don't really watch his games, but
The only pentakill.
Sure.
yeah, I mean, yeah, he's like pentakill. He's the goat. He's him, I guess.
They were losing most of that game, by the way, and it was literally just Jinx pentakill and end the game. It was not particularly flashy, but yeah, continue.
I feel watch a lot of like Mars in the Four Words games because Mars used to be my mid laner, and I just like watching his games sometimes. So I've seen a bit of Crisp. I'm not sure. I mean, I can see him being fourth, but it's just like maybe the like other ADCs just like aren't, I don't know, like doing super well or something. But like, oh, okay, I see. Okay, well that explains it. There you go.
Like everybody, like I swear, the hardest ones on this list, I kind of said that the hardest was outside of top 3 for top lane. Jungle, I kind of had for the most part like who I wanted. Mid lane was particularly difficult because a lot of mid laners do absolutely nothing the whole game, and then they fail to do anything in team fights, and I'm like, okay, why are you even playing? And 80 carries for the most part. I think you guys can both attest to this. Like you're mostly on utility for the most part. Like Ashe was very, very big in this season. A lot of Jhin, and the games where you guys are playing Kaisa or Jinx or other stuff like that, I'm like kind of like on the fence. I think the reason I gave it to Crisp is especially when we get to like that bottom, when we talk about like Oswald, Crisp, and Nightmare, and even Walt, is your guys' floor for consistency is pretty decent. Just I think some of the highs may be missing there, or like particularly in Crisp's instance, he is either going to have a really great game or he's going to have a really terrible game. And that's why it's really hard. And the same thing with kind of the mid lane list even. I put Mars up there because I think Mars's highs are so good, but his lows, I'm watching some terrible team fights.
He can kind of run it sometimes.
Yeah, but like
when he's doing well though, he's doing really well. So, I mean,
exactly, for sure. He's running the league when he's there, when he's like plugged in and he's doing well and he's on his champions. So, and support was also particularly difficult. I put Sun and Stars I put Violet and Kraydog, and then everybody else I was kind of just like,
meh, yeah.
I'm gonna just throw a dart at the wall and see what happens. I'm gonna be 100% honest. You guys can probably attest to it just because you are the 2 bot laners. Rig, playing against some of these junglers, I know you came in towards the back end of the season, and you've been playing some scrims. What do you, how are you feeling about this list?
Bro, if I say anything, it's gonna be Flame.
You can, bro. That's the whole point of the Otter Talk.
Bro, having Source Walker at 4 is just criminal. He's the
I wasn't gonna say it.
Yeah, he's number 1 to flip by a large margin. You're 1 and 3. I don't want to Flame. I don't want to Flame. But Source Walker, easy number 1, no contest. Large gap.
Okay.
There's
By
two
the
of
way,
them I
Walt,
don't know.
I
though.
still have those images from like 4 days ago. I have those exact same images from 4 days ago. So, I mean, look, I'm just going to be honest. Like Coffee across the entire season has been one of the most consistent. He, in my opinion, is constantly making the right decision when it comes to individual pathing. I think that, especially in last week's games, Basting really sold it up the river for his boys. If Crisp did it last week, then Basting was definitely sending it for the homies. And I think my issue with Sourcewalker sometimes is that he has to play for his lanes and cover them in certain instances where I just don't see that necessarily being the right choice. I think he has some pretty strong laners for the most part, and he does sometimes over-index on doing that. And I feel Coffee has been by and far away the best jungler, and I'm okay with with disagreeing with you guys. That's
have you
I think
have you
perfectly fine to have
considered-
discussion.
Have
What's
you
up?
considered though that Sourcewalker basically removes a ban from the enemy team every time because
Master
he's
Yi.
Yeah.
Master Yi has been
Feels
such
good.
yeah.
Free
Pretty
ban.
much gives the enemy team 4 bans that they have to work with.
Right.
Right.
And you also
True.
kind of said Coffee Beans is the best jungle because he has good laners.
Yep.
So that's kind of like that. You said Source Walker has to like cover his lanes, so he's not as
I think
good.
he does it. He
So-
shouldn't have to cover his lanes because he has good laners, but I think, drops jungle camps unnecessarily to go and make ganks when you can go to your camps, you can be on the map and still be effective. And Coffee, while having some decent laners for the most part, I think has, for the majority of the season, made the correct decision from the jungler position. From where he needs to be, what objectives he needs to be on, what times he needs to be on. I think he has been, in that way, more impactful than any other jungler.
I think that's just like a difference in styles.
I mean, for me, playing with Source, like, I think, like, sure, our laners are great, but I think him, like, covering for us and, like, whatnot, and, like, sacrificing that time, like, makes us, like, perform better. So, like, you could say one of the reasons we're doing so well in our lanes is because he covers and, like, gives us some
Exactly.
time when he is clear.
That's
But,
better than just AFK farming and going to objectives and winning. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know, that's just inflated.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I'm not
I mean-
saying AFK farm is the way to win the game, by the way. I hope that's
That's
not.
what I say. It's just
Yeah, I
different
know.
styles. Different styles.
yeah.
But I
It's
played
actually
again.
so funny.
Sure.
Because Source is like Source is known as the guy that just karma farms actually. So it's actually kind of crazy to me. I'm hearing that like he covers too much because he's sort of like farm walker in like everyone in like our eyes. So it's like he just like does camps and then bases and camps and bases and repeat. And it's like a meme. But
If that
I'm
was
glad-
still the case, 9 weeks in, I'd be pissed.
I know, but like it's just crazy.
He's gone a
hearing
little
that,
better.
like,
He's gone better about it.
Yeah.
He's gone better. That's why I still have him. And honestly, again, making top 6 in this league is what makes playoffs. And I think you have some of the best laner. I mean, that's why we have even Flame top lane, right? Like Flame as number
Flame's
1
the
top lane.
goat.
Flame
Easy.
is the
Yeah,
goat.
He's by far the best top laner, in my opinion. Like by far.
Yeah.
Like
It's
1 and 2,
always
like
not
the
even
difference
close.
is so far.
Yeah.
Like ADC 1 and 2
that's
is pretty
what I was
close,
saying.
but yeah, him it's just not even close.
No,
For
absolutely.
sure. And we can
Flames.
take a look at the schedule here. I know a couple of these games have already been finished, but this is part of the format that I have already publicly been disgruntled about, and I'm sure you guys might agree.
Yeah.
I wish that the way that currently it is done, it is scoreline, then points, then head-to-head. I wish that it was points, or I wish it was scoreline, head-to-head, then points. However, because it is based on point secondary, and obviously your scoreline is there, the big ones to be watching out for people to be making jumps right now are going to be if Elysium Ares can take their win, they would then shoot up not only in scoreline, but they would also have, or in their series score, but also in points. They have the potential to make it into 3rd over Mars if they take that win over Akuma. And then we do have, obviously, the big ticket match we talked at the beginning of the show, which is GBC versus Art of War. If Art of War make the end of season climb, they will still be 10th. However, they will have knocked GBC out of playoffs. So that's a bit unfortunate if that is going to be the case. Rig, coming into this week, obviously, very important games still. You guys are playing against Art of War. How are the boys feeling, and what do you think it's going to take to win today?
Dude, it's confident. As long as we don't troll like draft and we like draft how we talked about, it's gonna be easy 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to leak too much away, but for example, like when I first started playing with him, we played against Elysium, got like shit stomped. I think we were just playing a solo queue team versus a actual comp team, and now we're actually playing more like a comp team, drafting like an actual team. So I think it's gonna if we don't troll, if we do it, it's easy 2-0.
Okay. Excited to see. Real quick, let's do some last shout outs before we have to kind of close out the show. Jost, anything you got to say?
I mean, to shout out my teammates. I don't know. I like to shout out Radar, like our coach. He's kind of been really helpful for the team, I think, and I think he's a very key part of why our team is doing really well.
Okay. Rig.
Shout out to the team that added me like 2 weeks ago randomly. Wasn't even thinking about playing, and they messaged me. Hell yeah! Shout out to them.
Hey, okay. Respect. Well, Walt, any last statements? Anybody want to shout out?
Yeah, I'll shout out my two friends, Isaac and Nick.
Okay.
My top supporters.
Let's go. We got the Walt fans, hopefully, showing love. But that's going to be it. Our stream match for today is going to be TPF versus XG. Big playoff stakes if they're able to take a win today. And yeah, when we're back, it's going to be me and Isaac as well as Wookie covering the games.
Happy Halloween, everybody, and thank you for tuning in for this Blue Otter Diamond League match. I'm Isaac. Alongside me is Alt Battery, and yeah, that's today's match. We got TPF Tempest and XG Leviathan, and Alt Battery. I gotta ask, what is going on over there?
Bro, I'm McDonald's strongest caster, bro. I'm like Gojo but broke. I put it on Twitter, but I'm Gojo but if he was broke. I'm alive at least. So
Damn.
sorry for the spoilers, anybody who hasn't been able to watch that, been able to read up. But we've got the start of our draft here. We've got TPF Tempest versus XG. XG, though, both of these teams in potential contention for making it into playoffs. Obviously, they would need that GBC and Art of War series to go a little bit of their way. But either winner of this is looking at potentially making a top 6 appearance.
Yeah, and oh wait, hold on. Ban from XG, that's a bit odd. I was going to get to a few bit of information with XG moving in with a few emergency substitutes tonight. And so I'm a bit, I mean, I guess maybe they're assuming that Yorick isn't getting played at all, and so the ban goes on to Yorick instead of just none, but
Glad that they're okay. As long as they're okay with just giving us like the free ban so we don't have to wait the entire timer, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with them.
Oh, that's right.
That. Like
that's right. That's right. The draft tool, because there is no free none ban. That's right.
So Isaac doing a little bit of work for us here, but making sure that for XG, because they are missing out on some of their players and had to E-sub, they will be losing a large portion of their bans, which, you know, honestly, it does affect both teams, especially your RF on blue side. You're going to be missing out on a lot of champions that are potentially available to you, things like the Ashe, which have been very, very impactful. We'll see what exactly is going to be going on here. TPF have been running a little bit of a different style. I wonder if Gwen is going to be really important, just because Crimson has been so good on these melee mid laners so far, and they've really started to put less of a focus, on their bottom lane, as Joshua has been playing all sorts of things. He's been playing the Seraphine, he's been playing obviously the Ashe, but a lot of these more supportive champions that are there to set up the rest of his team.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, a little bit of that Corki as well was included with that. A good flexible first pick coming through. But I would suspect, because of how Crimson has performed on those melee mid laners in recent weeks, to get them into a position to maybe qualify for playoffs this late on, despite having an extremely rough start to the season, to put it lightly, is certainly, you know, Corki, I would suspect that maybe would probably gone to Joshua. I wouldn't be a big fan of seeing that going over to Crimson. I'd much rather see what we've seen from Crimson to come out today.
It's so funny seeing Corki, because I look over at the Cyto GG combine that's going over, and I'm thinking like, okay, we've been seeing a lot of Corki mid, but we have not seen it in bottom lane yet. But here in Diamond League, we've been seeing it all over the place. A lot of people have been playing in mid, but we have seen a ton of our AD carries. Like I said during Otter talking about last week, Chris 10 on the Corki was definitely doing a bit of a marathon. And we've been seeing a lot of our different AD carries really start to pick this up. So interested to see where exactly they're going to be flexing it, as we do have the Ashe in the Xin Zhao. So a lot of setup, although I'm going to be looking forward to XG, as not only are we talking about those E-subs, it does change some of their identity, especially if we're talking about coming into top lane, as I had Rover as the 5th best top laner. I've been getting a lot of information, talking to the other top laners in the league and saying, okay, this guy's actually like pretty decent, just the team isn't quite there, and he's not going to be playing today. So we're going to be seeing a lot of the strengths of XG that were previous there in the past couple weeks just not be present, which changes the game very, very much.
Yeah, it is coming in for Rover. If they've lined up correctly in the client, it should be Spoobert there in the top lane, and the other substitute coming in is May in the support role. So yeah, it does. On the other hand, it does also kind of focus. I would assume it'd probably focus TPF spans a little bit more onto the roles of the regulars, the more like well known, since the E-sub calls, I'm pretty sure we're relatively late on into the day for that like official E-sub request in Diamond, and the bans do kind of reflect that. Mumu, Thresh, and well, maybe not so much Thresh now that I say that.
Oh, I'm okay with Thresh being a troll ban. I'm okay with that. Thresh is terrible. This champion's awful. Like, this champion has Nautilus has all the things that Thresh wants, and Tom Kench is a better version of Thresh now because they've just taken out of Thresh missing a lot of base armor thanks to his passive. Yeah, I just think that Thresh is pretty not great. So excited to see it not be played today, at least hopefully here in our best of 3, as we're getting through the second phase of bans here. And I like the Janna, a big takeaway, especially if you're going to have the Ornn and the Zac. I would like to see a Braum taken away, as Braum has been by and far away the easiest way to counter Ornn. But instead, they wanted to try to focus away the Seraphine, which did get some nerfs. Interesting to see this champion. I wouldn't be surprised from XG if we just get this Braum Ashe. We got a lot of setup. I want to see a strong mid-mage here, though, because you're going to have to deal with not only the Zac and the Ornn, but you're also going to be wanting to potentially pair that up with Xin Zhao. And Ashe by herself does do a little bit of damage, but typically more of a utility champion when we talk about AD carries and setting other people up.
I was just about to say I'd much rather prefer to see Braum go first because there aren't really a lot of those strong mid-mages banned away. So you'd have a plethora of choices from there. But of course, right, as it happens, they do ban Braum. But on the other side, going back to TPF Tempest, there's a lot of champions still in the wheelhouse of Crimson available. Alt battery. We've seen a lot of the Silas and Gwyn recently. And speaking of Gwyn, this will probably be going into the hands of Crimson. Will be get treated to a bit of a unorthodox pick here in game 1.
Yeah, Gwen is really strong on 3 items. Before that, the champion kind of sucks. We've been seeing a lot of Nashor's Tooth, Malignance, and going either for Rabadons, or you can go for Shadow Flame if you're really trying to index on just getting rid of your opponents. But this TPF Tempest team is really going to spike on 2 and 3 items, so I want to see how they can survive the early game. A lot of our lower end teams have not been the best at being able to push the tempo early on. They've made a lot of individual mechanical mistakes. So I mean, if you're just going to say, look, we'll just outscale you, we'll be looking at a team composition that's going to be looking for potentially a good item spike around 20-25 minutes, then maybe, that's when we kind of get into a game where we're, I think, in a really strong position. Mid lane for Gwen, though, is very good, not only because it's a lane that typically has immobile champions in it, but specifically mid lane is a lane that really focuses on getting a lot of gold and experience, which are 2 things that Gwen really, really loves. When we talk about the breakdown for champions, it's either champions that really love XP or really love gold, and Gwen is a champion that loves getting gold as much as possible.
Yeah, definitely huge scaler there, and probably as the game goes on, expect to see Gwyn move a bit more out over the sides to be able to solo farm that XP. But Smolder is actually the choice for the side of XG Leviathan, so albeit not exactly what we were probably thinking of in terms of mages, but still definitely a very strong later game champion to at least counter the scaling of that Gwyn.
Smolder is great. I think Smolder doesn't have a lot of threats. He will have to deal with the fact that, hey, you have a Braum, you can proc the Ornn. You also have you do have to be watching out for the Zac. My issue is now going to be seeing how the mid lane kind of positioning is going to be dealt with, just because as the Smolder, you don't really have a ton of ways to be able to get away from Gwen. This matchup in mid lane, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if both guys are just going to be taking like Doran's Ring, Doran's Blade, and then first back pick up a Cull, because you're not doing very much in the early laning phase versus each other. Smolder's probably going to be getting a very nice lane to be able to freely stack. And for the side of XG, with the bottom lane and where it's kind of at with these champions, I really do expect for them to try to go for an early grub stack. You even have Udyr as well, who can push in top lane. So whichever objective they want to play for on the opposite side of the map, whether that's grubs, whether that's dragons, I do kind of want to see them really commit to that style, especially because we do have a bunch of substitutions coming in for this roster. It does make it hard to see where that kind of team synergy is going to be lying. And in such an important game such as this, is not only do they have their own fates in their own hands here for TPF, for XG, they'd be playing massive spoilers if they can win this one, and specifically trying to keep potentially Kedamin's dreams alive of playing in playoffs.
Yeah, but I mean, we are waiting. Obviously, Kedamin's If you did not tune into Auto Talk, Kedamin's are one of the 3 teams in contention for that final position in playoffs at 6. They did win their match against Mars and the 4 Wards in a very big upset.
Yeah.
This is unexpected, to say the least. I know I mean, I wasn't. You never really expect to see results early in general, but when it pops up and it says, "Oh yeah, Kediment wins against Mars in the Four Wards," okay, but which that does put in a situation that XG Leviathan can play a bit of a spoiler here to see if they can maybe get into that. And well, we'll just have to wait and see how this plays out. In game ones, we are hitting the spectator delay, but when we get back from that, that will be it will be game one between TPF Tempest and XG Leviathan for playoff ramifications. We'll see you then. Don't go anywhere. we have loaded onto the Rift for Game 1 between TPF, Tempest, and XG Leviathan in a bit of an exciting one for playoff ramifications. TPF Tempest looking to give themselves a chance by for that 6th spot with the win here today. All battery.
Big ones, especially when we're talking about the last 3 teams. Kediment, Grown Boys Click, and TPF all fighting for their spot. TPF, I think, having a great story where their early season was kind of dictated by some really bad losses and some inconsistencies. Kediment, a team that we thought that team, I mean, Kediment and Art of War were going to kind of be our winless teams coming into the season. And for Grown Boys Click, a really good start, but kind of had Rig on. They swapped out their jungle, and similar to kind of Final Boss Diamond, while having a strong start to the season, kind of petered off as we went through. So obviously we only have TPF and XG here today, but still have 2 games that are really important. That's, I think, great for the league as a whole, just because you can get to a situation in a lot of leagues and a lot of different games where you get to like the end of the regular season and all the playoff seeds are decided already. So glad that these players still have something to play for.
Yeah, especially after particularly long one, especially for amateur levels like this. Usually you don't have one that lasts a full 9 weeks. Getting some consistent action. It's going to be Chief's time to go in on Spiritless. The substituted ADC getting low, and that'll be first blood to Joshua. And Prim might have struggled a bit of a struggle getting out of this one now. We'll be fine in the end. But first blood over to the side of TPF Tempest. Joshua claiming that one.
Yeah, I want to see what the bot lane wave looks like. It seems like they're going to be looking to push this in under the turret. They have junglers that are pathing towards the bottom side of the map, so great job from Joshua and Chief. They try to get this under the turret and they take their recalls pretty soon. You can look to try to maybe make a dive yet again happen on the wave, probably like in 2.5 waves after that. Oh my god, Chief!
Okay. I didn't even say anything because it's just one of those things that you just figure 2 supports
I didn't think Rakan had the damage.
Each other. Like, you see 2 supports auto-attacking each other in close range. It's like, surely, like, nothing comes of this, but that'll be a 2nd kill going over to the bottom lane. And actually, as we check down at the scoreboard, it is actually a support solo kill in the 1v1 there. That is definitely not something you see very often at all in League of Legends.
Yeah, I guess we're just getting support solo kills in this game now. May has to be careful.
May
probably going to be investing a flash here.
Should be at least fine if they do decide to flash, but does not, oddly enough, and gets killed as a result. So 3-0 very quickly to the side of TPS Tempest.
I think the fact that they're not using the flash is perfectly fine. You're going to be able to TP for this wave anyway, even with the death timer, so just be able to catch this wave regardless. Great job coming in from Toto Duret, and I like this now. You kind of see on the top side here for XG, the one part that we were talking about, like, you have priority in the top lane. You have this Ornn, or you have this Udyr, who should be able to push the turret and is actually proxy farming versus the Ornn, recognizing junglers should not be up here, at least for the next few minutes. Why not? Make sure that I'm getting myself ahead, and I want to see from this Ornn how much can they actually push the tempo of this game, because as this Ornn, and like we were saying from draft, with an Ashe as well, being able to push the lane should not be very difficult. It's which lanes do we want to play around? Which objective are we going to be looking for? Phoenix Flare already finishing the bottom side scuttle and making an appearance on bot.
Toto is here, going to force a flash out of Prim to keep himself alive for now, but the CC will land on the Zac. Now Prim has nowhere to go. They'll give this one over to Joshua to give their ADC the gold. Phoenix Flare countering in the mid lane though. Can they find any sort of damage onto Crimson? Not a lot initially. It does take him down to about half health there, but won't be able to return that kill.
I think that's still fine though. I mean, Crimson didn't even use the TP. He just walked back into mid lane. He'll be able to TP back now, and he'll be really strong for this next fight. Again, Grub spawning in a minute and a half. Fire Ninja's the wave is going to be pushing into him. Should be knowing, hey, jungler is on the top side of the map. Phoenix Flare, despite what's been going on, has been able to gain himself a bit of a farm lead now, not only getting both of the scuttles, but can now get all of his respawned camps on the way back and can continue to play for one of these solo lanes here.
You'd have to suspect it'd probably be towards Spoobert, since the amount of advantage that this matchup has been drafted for Forest Spoobert is, very, very Udyr favored without any sort of intervention. But speaking without any intervention, Toto Duret is here to try to make this one, at least turn it around, and the knock will land from Fire Ninja. Spoobert going to take a tower shot, taken not low enough, but here comes the heal off of Udyr. Toto Duret going to flash away with the pass available. Fire Ninjas now, will it be returned?
Oh
going
my!
To flash
What?
to keep himself alive, but that will not be lethal damage there for Spoobert in the top lane.
Yeah, this top lane matchup should never, like, junglers should just not come here. Just because, like, the Zac never does enough damage, and wow, Spoobert almost outplaying in that instance. I mean, he even forces the teleport out, and now we can even see that Toto Duret isn't able to get his wolves here, as Phoenix Flare is going to be starting this up and kind of taking that away. Gets the smite as well. They should be looking for the Spoobert, take the recall, teleport into this. Phoenix Flare just needed to cancel the recall, brother.
Going to be
Can't be
slowed,
here.
hopping forward. Toto Duret won't quite find the CC. Crimson should be able to use the snip to its full effectiveness very soon. There it comes now, charged up, and here comes the Aura and the Horde. Phoenix Flare hasn't had much else to go. Spoobert is back, though, to try to help his jungler, but there's the first kill immediately. Toto Duret does have the revive available. Should he go down? Doesn't even look like that will be used just yet, and that's Spoobert getting claimed. May will at least force out that passive, but I mean, I don't believe they should be able to get the kill here. There's Toto Duret back up, and not enough damage from May, and here comes Crimson and Fire Ninjas as well. There's the Ignite being used by Prim to at least get the kill onto Fire Ninjas, but it's not exactly who you want to see it going over to, and it is a 3-for-1 in a long exchange for TPF Tempest.
Crimson does drop a lot of that wave, but getting some assists in your back pocket, not that bad. Unfortunate for me anyway to see Fire Ninjas and Toto Duret get some of those kills, as obviously would expect to see a little bit of gold going towards Crimson. Just going to be the flash coming out from Spiritless. He's going to survive, still be able to catch that wave. A turret plate now going over to this bottom lane. And I'm interested to see what Phoenix Flare does here, because like you can see, I thought maybe he was going to try to immediately redeploy after that, go straight towards the grubs, but instead, great job from him, comes down towards the bottom side, and now has a ton of options. Can either go for this dragon start and just do this, or instead, if it's maybe too dangerous, path up, finish more of those top side camps.
It's going to be a gank coming through by Phoenix Flare. Chief taken down to about half health. Wind becomes lightning, will find its way onto Chief, taken low, taken down. Spiritless going to be the one taking that kill under the tower, and that will be another kill going over to the side of XG Leviathan.
That's a great job. I love that. That's a really good find. Now, they need to start at the dragon. We need to see them stacking objectives early if they want to stay relevant in this game, just because of how many kills have gone by the wayside, and specifically Prim. Hey, you gave up a lot of those waves. You made sure to try to play for and with your jungle, but right now you're in a bit of a world of hurt, as I mean, Joshua's going to be close to finishing a Trinity Force soon enough. Already has the Sheen, going to be finishing towards that probably in the next 2 to 3 minutes. And you didn't even get an objective out of it. So while Phoenix Flare is finishing camps, I mean, Toto Duret's going to be able to pick up an early grubs here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the decision-making process is exactly on that from Phoenix Flare. Maybe that they don't exactly need all that Drakes, maybe that they would rather have the Void Grubs just in general, figuring that they just maybe not valuing the dragon at all, and knowing that
they just need to fight the dragon though. Like, you just killed their support, you know their top laner can't really, or their jungler can't play for this. I think it's just a mistake coming out from them, and not really respecting some of this. You just need to force your jungler, especially from the jungler position. You just need to say, okay, look guys, we can't farm anymore.
He's going to be getting ganked by Chief, stepping too far forward. That's a lot of damage from Crimson, and will be yet another kill going onto that. Gwen 2-0 in 3, and this is very dominant stuff from TPF Tempest.
So now, Isaac, who's going to be matching Gwen on a side lane? Because Udyr can be particularly powerful. Fire Ninja just gets a solo here.
Probably be maybe not enough without any sort of ability to heal in time on the double W on the Udyr, and that will be a solo kill going over to TPF Tempest, and Fire Ninja's there in the top lane.
God. Fire Ninja's great job getting the solo kill, utilizing some of the Unsealed Spellbook. Also uses the heal, gives themselves a little bit of movement speed, and obviously the HP regained from using that. But if this blue team, for TPF Tempest, if they get 6 grubs with a Gwen on their team, no one's killing Crimson on a side lane. And you come into team fights, he's already starting to get like supercharged in terms of finances. So I need to see something from XG. We need to see them play for these objectives. You now have the Ashe ultimate. Prim's going to be level 6 soon. If they're not able to do anything with this, the ability to start fights, then the game just feels pretty limp from them.
Spiritless, this is not where we want to be, not knowing that Joshua hasn't returned. The Unbreakable will stop a little bit of damage at the very start of this fight, but Spiritless already gone very low without really any damage in return. Flash forward from Joshua to secure that. And now here comes Tota Direct to make the 3v2 absolutely dominant into the side of TPF. Tempest, Phoenix Flare will do the best they can to keep this one at least somewhat respectable, getting the kill onto Tota Direct. But, I mean, TPF Tempest once again come away the victors in a very significant manner.
3 kills, and they're going to be able to get all of these turret plates as well. I mean,
and
it's a 3.5, almost 4,000 gold lead right now coming in from this TPF team, and they're just looking on fire. I will say again, for everybody who's maybe just joining us, XG have 3 subs coming in, E-subs as well, so some last-minute changes to the roster, and if this is the unfortunate manner in which XG's, series and, their season ends, I feel bad for them. We'll obviously give them a fair farewell at the end of the show, but yeah, this is a team that they themselves can't make playoffs, but they are in control as to whether or not TPF or Kediment have a possibility of making it a top 6, which for either team would be obviously a huge boon, especially for a team like TPF, who I've been upping as the top 6 team early on into the season.
Which was definitely, it was definitely a surprise considering if you looked at their record in those first few
Oh, it was pretty terrible. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, one of their losses was against their very first loss in week 1 was against Art of War Esports, which is Art of War's only win.
Happens.
Put it that way. So yeah.
Yeah, TPF didn't actually. They lost for almost every single week except week 3 they tick up their first win, but start of week 5 they are 1-4, and at that point that's kind of like the turning point. We said during Otter Talk early on in the season that the break point to make playoffs was probably going to be 4 wins, and now that they're at 4. Or they're at 3 right now. 4 would obviously put them in, and they're still obviously waiting for the results of GVC versus Art of War. But
Crimson's going to try to find May, but Phoenix Flare's there, and there's not much you can do. And that exchange shutdown getting picked up by the side of XG Leviathan. A lot of will be committed onto Spiritless, though. Going to use the quickness and a few flashes. Spiritless going to stay alive for now. Tota Direct going forward. Won't find the damage there, and it will actually be Spiritless living.
Okay, and that's going to be the other set of grubs now going over to XG Leviathan. Not a bad trade, especially with Spiritless living. Also, that Ashe ultimate in mid lane does make a big difference. If Crimson is able to get the 2nd or 3rd use of the Gwen ultimate, maybe he's able to trade 1 for 1. I just think going for Spiritless is pretty useless. With the changes to bounties and some of the changes to how much gold you're getting on champion kill, Spiritless is worth very, very little amount of gold right now. So I just don't think it's worth it. I think you should be looking towards investing in the top side as they catch out Phoenix Flare, invading with 0 priority.
Yeah, and Phoenix Flare going to flash away at the start of this, but I don't think that will be enough.
Nice.
Phoenix Flare finally going down. Crimson claiming that one to just further TPF Tempest's advantage. That's a little bit of a mouthful.
Yeah. We've also got Herald now spawning in 20 seconds. I want to see TPF Tempest play on this objective. You're not allowed to give this enemy team any of these objectives right now, especially with where your bottom lane is. You already have the Trinity Force now finished at 14 minutes. You have all of your first items that are kind of starting to come online. This should be the point where you are muscling into enemy territory. You're getting vision, and you're stopping the opponent from contesting. I just don't think that this team... There's no reason in my mind, aside from maybe something like this.
We'll use the Enchanted Crystal Arrow to try to start a fight and find Joshua, but there's just not a lot of damage nearby right now, and the counter is coming through. Teleport from Crimson, dropping onto Spiritless. Will go down and start this fight from off the string. Tota Direct will give them a strong numbers advantage to the side of TPF Tempest, and it'll be 2-0 there in the mid lane. For the
Go start the Herald, please! I'm begging you!
That's exactly
we see the Zac is on his way. Crimson taking the teleport after pushing in a bottom wave. This is exactly what I want to see from TPF Tempest. We need to see them being able to play not only around their mid laner, who, while having a unique champion pool, I think has been consistently one of the best players on the team, and their bottom lane, who, you know, despite some of the early woes throughout the season, despite their up and down performance, are this game really trying to be very aggressive and take advantage of XG's bottom lane.
Yeah, it's just been a bit of a blunder down there in the bottom lane for the side of XG Leviathan, really on both Prim and Spiritless. Koyesh not available here for this one, which is definitely unfortunate. I'm a bit of a Koyesh fan, maybe a little bit more as a support from last season of Blue Water Diamond. They're definitely one of that best spot lane, and it kind of showed, I'd say, in somewhat recent weeks for actually Leviathan for what you could at least pull from them, and so them not having, well, 3 players on their side in general. It's we're talking about where do they find that synergy in draft, and well, they haven't found it just yet, and might have to just roll it in for game 2 at this point.
Ray, you know, the Halloween spirit is haunting XG, and we're asking them, is the synergy in the room with us right now? Currently, not necessarily the case, but maybe we'll see as the series develops. Maybe game 2 is a little bit of more of their speed, like you were alluding to. Trying to make this play into mid lane, however. Really trying to crash in, but Zach's here, everybody's here.
Alright, everybody is here. Spiritless already taken down. Joshua going to pick up that kill on the back end just to get some more gold onto your ADC for good measure. And Prim surely is going to be going down there. Double kill for Joshua. And more dominance from TPF Tempest. Wait, hold on. Crimson though, gone though. Crimson will return that kill at the very least in the 2v1 in the bot lane, but now May stepping a bit too far forward, maybe on this Smolder. Fire Ninja's very tanky at this point. Don't know if they have enough to go to
Fire
counter.
Ninja,
I don't
please!
think this is the call. That is certainly not part of the plan, and that'll actually be a shutdown going over to May and Tota Direct. Oh, well.
Good job from Crimson. Crimson was playing that 1v2. He got Udyr very low. Spoopert was trying to tank the turret, and then we got to see Crimson take the 1v1 and still come out, you know, even. Fire Ninja's unfortunately just messing up some of the Ornn combos. I saw what he was going for with this unsealed spellbook. He had the Ignite, so trying to see if he can go for the 1-for-1, but that's going to be some more stacks here for the Smolder, and that's also going to be a shutdown, like we were saying. So across the map, I still think it is good for TPF. They're going to be here in time for this dragon, but my kind of issue from this point on is, how are we going to contest for this dragon at this point? Because you're down gold and experience probably in most of your lanes here, and despite maybe May having a pretty okay performance, you are really far behind in terms of itemization and some of these levels. So I mean, just alone, Joshua's level 11, which for Corki, a champion that does like having, you know, upgraded points in his ultimate, feeling pretty strong right about now, and having the Muramana, so you can't even contest on the next dragon, as he's going to be that much more powerful.
Yeah, I think if you are the side of XG Leviathan, the dragon claiming has been a bit slow this time around, so there's only the one that has been taken so far, and so at this point, I think you just have to say, let it go, and it's not contested at all. But considering the positioning as we are in this pause of where we're kind of where we see Phoenix Flare and how far Prim has moved up here, they might not. I'd be surprised if they don't just give this one up. But okay, yeah, now they're moving away.
So right now, May, 166 stacks. A lot of that is because Fire Ninjas decided to just give a bunch of stacks during that fight, and so Isaac, I think XG's entire hope is just pray that they can have enough frontline that their bodies are going to tank enough damage for the Smolder to be able to kind of win them the game. Although there is so much backline threat that I just don't think that that's going to be a real goal for them.
Yeah, and even if Smolder does get to a point where you know, the little dragon starts to take over, does hit that point where they start getting to execute, even still, they have to survive Crimson, they have to survive Tota Direct. Fire Ninjas shouldn't be as much of an issue with Braum there to stop the Ornhorn from really doing anything too major.
Collapse potentially, though. Joshua walking into Fog by himself. I like what they're doing. I like the idea of what they're going for. Joshua caught out now.
Prim will commit the ult there. Joshua flashing away. A bit of a miscommunication in terms of ultimate usage. It'll be the first shutdown, but here comes the rest of TPF Tempest, and that was the issue we were saying. Even if you do find one of them, the rest of TPF Tempest are so huge to turn this into their favor to make it 3-for-1. So they picked the target that they wanted, but at what cost?
All they were doing was just trying to shadow May, make sure that they're able to get gold and experience, but by just everybody dying there, even with a small misplay coming in from Fire Ninja, just not enough. Crimson does a hell of a lot of damage right now, and you just don't have really the HP bars. Maybe if May was sitting on, you know, the Spear of Shojin and some more items that maybe gave some more HP, there's a potential for that play to really work. Calling down the Herald, though, to get the mid or the top lane tier 1, looking to try to make a play on top tier 2. When are they going to try to make a re-engage, but they're missing out on so many ultimates, so many important buttons for them that right now they should just be looking to take their recalls as is. And Dragon spawning in 3 minutes, I think there's a very real possibility with Crimson potentially finishing his second item here. They could just rush for Baron. I mean, Gwen by herself does so much damage to this objective. They have Corki as well. You could very realistically, if they're smart enough and they're thinking about it, just bum rush a Baron and you're good.
Yeah, there's not exactly a lot of vision from the side of XG Leviathan. It is kind of, they'll have a clear path walking towards it, but I mean, it's completely dark once you get past that red buff for XG Leviathan. They would probably have some sort of knowledge if TPF do try to sneak this with the Scars Bloom already going to be committed there onto the Baron pit, just in case. But now, without any separate information in that objective, be a bit of a struggle here. And actually, we've got to fight. Chief going to charm up too on the Swiftness, coming back through Phoenix Flare. Not quite finding that. Over off the scrim, that'll be Crimson getting the kill, and Joshua also getting Phoenix Flare, so 2-for-0. And this just might be the Baron going over the side of TPF Tempest.
There we go. They found Spiritless in a side lane. Crimson solo kills him with the ultimate. Just go for the Baron, guys. Who cares about the jungle camps? There's no mid wave. This mid wave is very fake. Guys, this mid wave is fake. Just go do Baron. Just go do Baron. Please, I'm begging you. Guys, the mid wave is very fake. May's gonna press WQ. Where's Prim?
They're gonna try
wake up, brother.
I mean, maybe if they feel like they could make it a little bit more secure, if they were able to find May and Prim. That's a lot of damage going down onto Toto Direct, and a lot of time committed as well. They'll pick up that top lane turret from the side of Crimson there off the screen, but really they've given up their opportunity to take a 21-minute Baron, and so slight blunder from TPF Tempest. I'm sure they'll be fine considering they are sitting about.
Oh yeah, I have to say to this game right now, I don't think the Baron is going to matter at this point, just because the issues that XG are showing are irrelevant to the game state right now. They're just showing a very clear lack of awareness to what their bot lane can do, to how they actually want to play this composition. This feels very much like 5 players that are very lost and kind of doing their own thing. I will say the one person that is kind of acting as a soft glue piece is Prim. Prim, one of the holdovers from this roster that doesn't have a bunch of substitutions on it. And right now, we're seeing some great individual play from players like May and Prim, but it's not really enough, as that is not going to kind of fix the bot lane matchup that occurred very early on and how much gold Crimson has been able to get for himself as well. So kind of a worrying state here, and at the very least, it just means that XG are looking very much towards a Game 2 here, as they're not able to get into the pit. They're going to be losing out access on this dragon, and we said this early on, who is going to be matching on the side lanes versus Crimson? I feel like if you are XG, you're going to have to overload that side of the map, make a quick play, try to find someone off, try to maybe pick Crimson by himself, and you're playing 2v3, 2v1, and really just pray, because that is the only way that they're doing this right now. They're not even matching on the top lane. Fire Ninja is going to be getting all this golden experience and then start to give out the masterwork items as well. Very dangerous spot, as TPF are very, very close to potentially closing out on a first game victory here.
Yeah, and having to answer Crimson there in the side lane, they spent a lot just to prevent those waves getting pushed in, and that'll be Soul Point going over to the side of TPF Tempest. And if the game isn't over by the time the next Drake spawns, I would have to figure that almost certainly it's going to be the Dragons will going over to TPF Tempest to just add more onto the list of what actually Leviathan will have to overcome to, well, find anything in this game, really.
Guys, where's the side lane? Who's collecting these waves? We're just giving them up. Okay, they're gonna have vision. They now have canceled this out. Crimson can also TP for this play, but they know it's there. The Scuttle just kind of gave them a warning, saying, hey, look, they're gonna clear your vision. They're gonna start this up. Blue Trinket as well. This is the Hail Mary here coming in for XG.
That's going to be an Enchanted Crystal Arrow landing its way onto Toad Direct, but not really going to find a way in for now. Crimson going to use that teleport to get over to this fight as a potential 5v5, but both
guys,
members just kind of back away from this
please.
one.
Just kill the
on the
Udyr,
wrong side of the
please.
map, but I mean, you know, rule 1 of League of Legends. Don't chase, well, not necessarily Udyr, that's actually Singed.
I was gonna
rule
say, it's
Rule 2
Udyr.
of League of Legends is don't chase Udyr.
I don't know why they got off the Baron. There's no threat. Like, at the very least, you might be worried about Phoenix Flare going for a steal. However, with where you are in the game, you should be inviting a team fight here. You should be wanting to look for something where you're saying, okay, we can turn with our own ultimate. We also have double smite here for Fire Ninja and Toto Turret. So I don't know why they are so afraid. Maybe they don't want to throw the game, but that attitude is not going to be the way in which you kind of are pushing wins, especially for a team that I'm excited about potentially even making into playoffs here. Also, Crimson making a pretty big mistake here. Right now, with how Masterwork items and how Ornn items work, they aren't specific items. Every single item in the game can now be Masterworked. However, it is the first item in your inventory. So the item that is most correspondent with the #1 key if you have default settings. And he gets an upgraded Void Staff, which in this game, I don't think it's going to matter. I think you should be going for either your Shadow Flame or your Nashor's Tooth, 2 items that give you really good stats for what Gwen wants to be able to do. And now they're going to finally start up this Baron yet again. Spoopert has TP. Just force it, guys.
Though. Enchanted Crystal Arrow going to find its way in. Going to be the Smite. Fire Ninjas claiming that one. Smolder does have the Execute available, but won't quite find enough HP down onto the side of TPF Tempest. At the very least, that does mean that Spoopert does have a bit of free rate in the side lanes to pick up that objective bounty in the bot lane there, but really that's not a very large consolation with what they've given up for it.
They've got themselves the Baron now. They should very easily be able to push down mid, play on side lanes if they really want to. I mean, Crimson's probably going to be sitting with them mid. Fire Ninjas can just stay on a side lane, pick up gold and experience where he can, teleport into a play, and then we'll see. Dragon spawning in 2 minutes does, you know, hint towards me, hey, let's just wait for the soul. If it means 2 more minutes and equals we win, I'm okay with that. Although, as is with the gold lead, with kind of the state, there is a sense when you are playing against an opponent where you're saying, okay, we might be a little bit ahead, we might be pretty far into the game, but I think we're just that much better right now. I don't think that we're seeing too much out from XG Leviathan in terms of skill or them really showing any individual prowess. I think you could very easily force a fight versus this team and probably just take home the victory. My only worry is going to be Mei, who has hit the 225 stacks on Smolder, has 260 right now, but I just don't think it's enough.
This one is Prim's here, but I don't know exactly if this is the one you want. A lot's going to be committed towards the fight, a lot more than expected. It's a bit innocuous at the start, but now Prim's low, Prim's down. And he just gave up there knowing that there wasn't anything left to do on the Braum but die. And so, just yet another kill going over to the side of TPF Tempest as they look to pull this down. Call of the Forge God will be pulled up, and that should be Phoenix Flare going down now. Mei actually will be taken first onto this back line for good measure. Heal coming onto Crimson, keeping him alive and actually claiming that one, so they won't even be able to take Crimson down. As consolation, it is a clean ace for the side of TPF Tempest, and what has felt inevitable for the past 10 minutes, if not longer, has finally come to fruition as TPF Tempest take game 1.
And their road to playoffs are still alive. With this win, they should be looking to try to take a second one, and if they can secure a second Nexus explosion, their dreams of being top 6 here in Blue Water Diamond League are still alive.
Yeah, and they pretty much have to 2-0. The ramifications are that if they 2-0, all they need is Grown Boys click to lose. However, if they do give up a game to XG Leviathan, they have to rely on Art of War Esports taking both wins in their series there. So
well, it doesn't matter if as long as GBC lose. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if it's 1-2 or 2-1 or 0-2, just because it is based on series score at the end of the day. Yeah, it's based on series score. So as long as they're both going to be 4 and 5, right? So if we I'm gonna pull up.
Hold on, quick maths.
Okay, so
even if, right? So GBC would be down would go 4-5. Tempest win in this conclusion, right? Where they're both 4-5.
Yes.
GBC would end with 34 points, and TPF would end with 34 points. So then it would come down to head-to-head, and GBC did win the head-to-head. So they need the 2-0, and
Yeah.
I mean.
So I did do
man.
my math right. Okay.
Okay, making sure. I'm just making sure.
Yeah, no, it never hurt to make sure. It never hurt to make sure.
That's
But,
really disgusting, though. That's so disgusting that it comes down
We
to.
do actually have news provided by Crispton of Mars, and the 4 wards that Going Boys Click have won their first game against Art of War Esports. So as things stand, TPF Tempest do have to 2-0 this one if they want any sort of chance to make playoffs. But we'll have to look forward to that, because when we come back, it will be the Game 2 draft for this one. And so don't go anywhere. We'll bring that to you on the other side of this break. And welcome back, everybody, for Game 2. The Game 2 draft, actually, between TPF Tempest and XG Leviathan. And if you are returning from Game 1, we might be, if we don't get a massive change out of XG Leviathan, we just might be seeing a very quick 2-0 here, Alt Battery.
Yeah. Yeah. They've got 3 E-subs. They got absolutely dominated in the post on game 1. So honestly, if that's the form we're going to be getting from XG today, I'm happy it's going to potentially be a fast 2-0. That's just how it is. I feel bad for XG. I obviously would have wanted them to put up a little bit more of a fight and show some spirit. Maybe that'll come here in our game 2. And like we were saying before we hit the break, GBC winning their first game up against Art of War Esports does mean that we're going to need not only for Art of War to make a comeback in that series, take 2 games back to back, but TPF need to win here in this game if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Yeah, well, at the very least, they did do a really good showing of that in Game 1.
Yes.
It was, I mean, it wasn't even close. There's no trying to sugarcoat it. That being said, Caitlyn going to be the choice for XG Leviathan on B1 here. It's a bit of a surprise, at least. I haven't seen a lot of Caitlyn honestly, this whole season in general.
Yeah, a lot of the Caitlyn has actually been coming from Josh here on TPF. Joshua has been someone that's been picking up the Caitlyn not too frequently, but has been someone that's been kind of the purveyor of this champion so far in the league. And kind of interesting, because it is a fearless draft, right? We look at the champions that are above XG's portraits. The fact that they're no longer, or that the fact that they have lost on champions like Ashe and Smolder are really, really important, because in a fearless draft, it means that every time you spend some of your draft budget on these really, really powerful champions, you need to be able to get a win. And from the side of TPF, I don't think they wasted all that much, right? They got rid of the Corki, maybe the Rakan in terms of engage, but I'm not seeing too much of a threat there, although I do love this pairing. XG, they want to try and smash through the bottom lane and getting themselves a Lux and Caitlyn bottom lane, which is why I have a little bit of an issue of taking the Jinx. You know you're going to be outranged. You know that you're going to be pretty squishy in the laning phase. And that has been mostly my issues with TPF's bottom lane, is some of their laning phases have been pretty weak, all things considered, throughout the season.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of, usually, I mean, last game wouldn't have shown it, but it's been if we're talking about the strongest side for TPF Tempest, it isn't actually Carbill in tonight. If you are just tuning in, it is Toto Duret moving in there as a substitution. But it's been more so the solo lanes of TPF Tempest that have been their shining point. But as we move through, Tom Kinch will at least be there to help Jinx post level 6 to try to keep him alive a little bit longer.
Okay. Gragas as well to be very, very good. I love this as an answer into Tom Kench. This is great so far. This early, these early 3 have been really, really strong. Also has a decent matchup spread into Cassante. So coming into the back end of this draft, the way that TPF kind of have to get around this is that they have to play a very, very early game aggressive jungler to be able to get around this, potentially look for dives on bottom lane. But I just don't think that's going to be very realistic, considering the fact that, you know, they only have the Jinx and Tom Kench, which is going to be our bottom lane pair. And yeah, I don't know.
And considering they are getting rid of a few of those junglers that you maybe like to see out in terms of strength from TPF Tempest, the question now becomes, who will be that choice for TPF Tempest? Do they go for the mid laner first, or do they opt in to take the jungler here, Alt Battery? We do have to give it a second on that.
I'm okay with them going for jungler here. I think that taking jungle here is really smart. Again, I want to see how aggressive they're going to be able to play. Taking away the Olaf, however, again, Gragas can be a flex, but into Olaf, this is also still a perfectly fine matchup. So the Gragas flex here, really, really strong, as now we get into the back end of the drafts here. A lot of junglers taken away from the side of Phoenix Flare. I wonder what the order of kind of choices are going to be. They're probably going to be looking for a really, really dominant mid lane matchup, but it is going to be blind. And now that you know that this Olaf, where this Olaf and Cassante are going to go, I kind of want to see where they're going to place this Gragas.
Yeah. I think about
nice,
it. Maybe.
nice.
Oh,
Lilia.
A lot of Lilia in the client. Okay, so yeah,
Lilia sounds really terrible in this game.
All right. Expound.
Has a terrible matchup into Olaf. You're okay into Cassante, but I just think the jungle matchup is really, really difficult to play. You're very much indexing on your lanes all winning, which I think is perfectly fine when we see the spread that they have gone for. Last pick Quay, a lot of magic damage in this game, so eyes are going to be can Spiritless hold their own as the sole AD threat on Caitlyn, and Merc Treads for this team, I think a very easy buy. I mean, you're talking about a bunch of champions that are going to be able to be very tanky, that are going to very obviously go towards some of these bruiser or tank builds. I think that's perfectly okay. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see something like a Galio. I mean, straight up as like an anti-mage, that's perfectly okay. Thinking about other kind of mages in the mid lane might be a little bit more tough. Ares as well is okay.
Oh.
A Diana here for Crimson.
Yeah, unexpected. It's definitely I haven't seen Crimson play Diana, but it's definitely that.
He's been, I think, the only Diana mid player in the tournament.
Maybe played it once.
He's played it a few
twice.
times now. He's played it a few times now.
My memory must be just gone. Wow. That aside, it's still very much, regardless of that, it's still very much that sort of champion, the AP melee champion that we kind of expect to see from Crimson. We've seen a lot of success out of, actually, but I mean Diana though into this. I'm not immediately a fan, I will say, of this Diana pick.
Yeah, it is very contextual based on can they actually get stuff done in the mid game. Into Hui, I have problems with this. Into Gragas, into Diana, or into Lux as well. You're gonna get outranged in a lot of instances, so your snap engage needs to be very much on point. So yeah, I can't believe that we are in a situation where TPF could very realistically lose this game. Because game one looked very dominant. I think that they had decent matchups. We got to see them outplay their opponents. I just don't like Jinx right now. Jinx is really struggling. A lot of the crit itemization getting hit thanks to AD carries mid means that just playing crit champions in general is not very, very good or high prioritization, at least on my list. You should be looking to try to abuse the fact that on-hit items are still broken, that mage items are so good, and there are a lot of really strong AP champions you can play, as well as strong AD champions that don't require you to go for the crit itemization. So Jinx weak laning phase, again, is a game where we're looking, can they actually hit their 2 and 3 item spikes, and how are we playing around this Olaf?
As we do get through the draft on the client side, we can confirm a few of the locations of where these are going. It is Olaf in the jungle there for not Carville. I was about to say it's not Carville, it's Toto Durret in there. So it'll be Olaf into the Lilia jungle wise, and it will be Cassante Gragas in the top lane. So I guess not exactly the most surprising thing ever, but I mean there was still some potential to try to match matchups to be a bit more favorable in the way that you would want to see them. But yeah, no big change ups so far, unless if we're changing who is piloting those champions, in which I don't know.
I just think Tahm Kench has, he has some use in this game. He will be able to stop Caitlyn and Lux from really long outranging the Caitlyn, but that'll come after level 6. And Tahm Kench can be primary engage, but you have to do it from Fog of War, which can be a little bit tricky, especially again with Lux and Caitlyn being able to cheat vision very easily alongside Hui. Merc Treads are name of the game in this one, and this kind of like tournaments on the line here again. XG can't make playoffs, but they can play spoiler, and TPF, they need this win if they're going to want to make their chance into top 6.
They will have to try to figure out how to make this work, but whether they do, we'll have to wait and see, because when we come back, it will be game 2 between TPF Tempest and XG Leviathan. So don't go anywhere. We'll bring that back to you in just a few moments. And we are back for game 2 between TPF Tempest and XG Leviathan, or maybe I should say it the other way around. It is XG Leviathan on the blue side for game 2 here. And, yeah, I mean, they definitely have to try to maybe spice this up a little bit, because we might be out of here in 20 minutes if we get a repeat of game 1.
Could be, but obviously still got to play all these games out. If we didn't play these games out, we would not get such great upsets like Kediment beating Mars, right? That's just how it goes. So, got a 5-point start here, and really what we wanted to see coming in from the draft was Spiritless and Prim obviously not only having a better game than game 1, but also them just being able to dominate the laning phase. I want to see strong focus around these dragons, getting those dragon stacks so that you can try to play around when Caitlyn is a little bit weaker, which is typically second and third item. Once he's able to hit 4, maybe that's going to be a potential for you to kind of hit, but I don't think you want to try to play 4 items versus a Jinx. And interesting kind of piece of tech here coming in from Joshua. Not taking the barrier or a heal, which obviously we tend to see. Going for a teleport, so recognizing that, hey, I might be behind in the laning phase, but if I can just teleport back to lane, I'll be able to pick up gold and experience where I can. And it's perfectly fine if you can try to survive this. But again, predicating on whether or not you're actually able to live in the 2v2 right now.
That's a big if, but I mean, early signs. I mean, not the worst trade ever there, and at least considering the matchup. But then again, it is that level 2 that becomes absolutely massive for this side. Other things around the map is we do actually have Phoenix players starting on the bottom half of the map, moving top junglers opposite of each other, and it's a bit interesting considering we didn't want to see a lot of focus there on that bottom lane. And while Toto Duret will be heading down towards the side of the map, a lot of trust from Phoenix player that this bottom lane will be able to just, well, do Lux Caitlyn things.
Yeah, right now all that Lilia wants to do is just avoid
Wait,
Toto
Crimson's
Duret at all
getting a lot of
costs.
damage onto May.
Crimson!
Flash forward, is it enough? Not quite there on the empowered auto attack there from Crimson. Almost. Is only close in hand choosing horse grenades.
This also, I mean, we're just kind of seeing it time and time again. This bot lane matchup is extremely miserable. When good luck Caitlyn players play against you, especially as a Jinx in this situation, you're kind of just praying. Every bit of CS that you can get is like a thank you. It's a thank you for the, oh, no fear now. May cannot step back into this wave, especially if junglers, you're already kind of noticing, hey, junglers should be done with their camps by now. There's potential for Olaf to just run through, throw a random axe. May's going to have to teleport back into this lane. And that's huge already. Crimson getting a lot of early damage down onto him. And
oh, the snare coming down onto Chief. There should be a lot of damage coming through, and that will force the heal out of Chief at the very least. There, so more and more pressure getting driven down to the bottom half of the map. As you're saying, no teleport for May, having to be committed early, and with how much Crimson has managed to control these first few levels there on the Diana, you could say at least there's comes to wait. Hold on to
there it is.
Here in the bottom lane, going to run forward. Chief though very low. Will he be taken down? The shield coming through. Flashes both from Spiritless and Prim to pick that up, but Joshua will go excited, and with jungler still here, that will be 2 for 1 going over to the side of TPF Tempest to start out this game.
Great job from Toto Duret recognizing the lane that I need to play for right now is bottom lane. It's our most destabilized matchup right now. Great job coming in from him, not only being able to get those 2 kills for
hold on. Fire
Joshua.
Ninjas is so low without much available. Spoober going forward. That auto attack is enough to find the kill. That's a solo kill there in the top lane for XG Leviathan.
That's what we were kind of talking about from draft, though, is that a lot of these lane matchups are not particularly fun to play, but it comes down to individual skill. It's the reason why we still play these games out. There's some mistakes that you can make. Sometimes the lane just doesn't go your way. You lose like a 50-50, and we kind of saw it already while every other matchup is not necessarily going in the way that we expected. Right now, Gragas taking advantage of that. Fire Ninja does TP. I mean, Spoober just does have Flash. He should be able to get out of this. Just back and TP. Oh, you didn't have TP right now, lol. Got the Flash out of May, though. I'm okay with that. Crimson's about to hit level 6 as well, so now no Flash on May. He's nowhere close, or they're no close to getting
going to
this.
go forward, trying to find it, but with 2 tower shots coming over, May will be able to hit from free range there and actually bring Crimson quite low. But with these health bars in such critical condition as they are, it's a bit sensitive there in around the mid lane for the next for the foreseeable future.
May just has to drop all of this, right? Like, so Crimson on this wave is going to hit level 6. May has to back up, has no mana. So as soon as this wave hits the turret, they're just praying that either their jungler or someone else can come mid to try to cover for them, because it just takes a single trade. They have Electrocute as well.
Nobody is here just yet. It's going to be Phoenix Flare running as fast. Oh, no, not running as fast as possible to help May. Instead, move over to their camps. So, still, it's so sensitive there in the mid lane that it's hard to just throw that over. But it turns out they'll both be fine, and Crimson probably just going to elect to recall maybe. No, not
Toto Duret
yet.
wants to try to go for this. They're going to find this
Toto Duret
engage on the
will land
Prim.
the knock-up onto Prim. Slow coming through, down to half health to start this out. Toto
a big
Duret
kill.
is here. There's nothing you can do as Prim. Prim is just dead. Toto Duret will
Nice.
be the one to claim that with the axe. And that will be another one going over to the bottom side of the map for TPF Tempest.
Wow, Mei is stuck in lane right now because of their lane state, because they don't have any of their summoner spells. I mean, this might just be a kill here for Crimson. Has the ult,
Crimson
electrocute.
does have the ultimate available. Spiraling
right.
Despair will not find it. Actually, straight over to the top side. Fire Ninjas does well to prevent the explosive cast, applying that CC to pick up the solo kill in return there.
I mean, Mei, because they had to take an early recall, all they had was, they had nothing. They were literally just sitting on the same starting items that they had at the beginning of the game, which is just a single tier. They recall, teleport back in, then they die to this play, so now they get to finish their boots, which is great, but Crimson has so much extra damage here. Phoenix Flare, you don't have the level 6 yet. You might just get 1v1'd here, brother.
Fire Ninjas won't find the CC, though, at least initially on that Phoenix Flare. Should have a lot of movement speed. We'll be fine with all that extra. Yeah, move speed, hold on. That will be from Chief. Oh my god, that's a lot of damage coming out from Crimson. A great setup from Chief. And Crimson just, you know, it's a perfect alley-oop there.
Yeah, they're missing out on so much of this wave. Crimson showing off some of that excellence that we expect from a guy who is really focused on his mid lane counter picks in mid lane. I mean, his melee, he's such a melee specialist. We look at his pool, the most effective champions have been stuff like the Sylas, the Gwen, and the Diana throughout this entire season. So glad to see that they were outplaying their opponents, and now with topside even able to get a solo kill here, TPF are feeling very much empowered. They were able to grab the first dragon. It took a while for Phoenix Flare to get those grubs by themselves, so I don't think you're too worried about 6 grubs in this game. Usually I'm the one that's like, okay, 6 grubs is usually very, very good, but if you're never actually able to hit turrets, then it becomes a real problem. So maybe if we have a situation where on the back end, when we get to those second set of grubs, they get the 6 grubs, Caitlyn and Lux can start to wail away at turrets, but I think with how this game is going and what we've seen from these two teams, by the time we get to I think he's fine. Fire Ninja's just gonna be able to press E. Lol.
Yeah.
But yeah, without pushing lanes, the 6 grubs just doesn't matter.
Yeah, and that bottom lane, I mean, it has been affected by Toto Direct coming down there, affecting that lane on 2 occasions very strongly, mind you. Wait, Crimson will go forward, taking Mei down to half health with just 1.
Oh, has the ultimate and just used the flash mid. Oh wait, they're gonna set up the same play they just did, where they're just sending the W with Tom Kench.
Yeah, but Phoenix Flare is nearby this time around, but all the while, Spoobert will be claimed, and that'll be 2 kills going outside of TPF Tempest. Because now Mei off-screen did him also get taken down. Phoenix Flare will at least be able to pick up some of this XP and wave, but still, it's TPF Tempest. They showed up game 1, and really, they are coming up in a big way now again in game 2.
Uh-oh, they've got to be careful. All these wards are if they're coming through River, but if they're coming through Tri, there's going to be no
they know
kind
something,
of notice
but it
here.
might be a little bit too late. Ragnarok will be used by Toto Direct to be able to stop that snare from coming through. Prim taken down by Crimson, and now Toto Direct coming through. Axe thrown, picking up Spiritless, and this is disaster for XG Leviathan.
This is what we wanted to see from TPF, though. They are making big plays around their star mid laner, and while it isn't car build, Toto Red is doing a perfectly fine job being able to fill in, and they're making really great strides here in this game. XG just, again, kind of bounty to their circumstances, where there is just, 3 E-subs coming in for this team, and that's just what happens when you have mercenary rosters. That's a lot of the criticism that we have of a team like Art of War, where they constantly have a rotating door on their roster. And in Week 9, obviously they're not able to be in playoffs anymore, but for a team like TPF, they're making every single chance. Again, their fate is not necessarily in their hands completely, as they're waiting for the results of GBC versus Art of War, but a 2-0 definitely makes it more than possible for them to make it into playoffs.
Chief may have stood a little bit too far forward, though. Going to get snared up there by the Yordle Snap Trap. That will be the Lilting Lullaby used by Phoenix Flare, and surely that'll be Chief going down at this point. He'll use to keep himself alive a little bit longer. It takes a really long time, and Prim will actually be the one to pick that up.
Surely, Chief, we could have dodged at least one of those spells. The two Lux bindings were a bit egregious, unfortunately. So the kill going over to Prim, it's going to be one of 3 kills that we've seen. It's going to be 4 plates in the mid lane here. And the Grubs now going over to the side of TPF Tempest. They've got to be careful in this bottom lane. I know we've been talking about Spearless and Prim picking up that last kill, but Joshua's very close to being able to get a kill here onto Prim if he's able to find a little bit more damage with his ultimate. And maybe finding some rare find on Zaps. Joshua, though.
Joshua in a bit of spot of trouble.
Oh.
Flash used by Joshua as well, despite the auto attack having already gone through. So a bit of a bad, now worse sort of situation there for Joshua. I mean, at least on an individual level, shut down going over to Spiritless to help turn this lane around a little bit more.
Yeah, if we're not gonna flash the Lux Q, just take the death. You know, you're at that point. You're just saying, okay, look, this is just not gonna go my way. Thankfully, Joshua will be able to teleport back. They'll be able to also make a play for this dragon. Fire Ninja's probably looking for the 1v1.
Oh yeah, it's going to try to find it.
Oh, that's the ultimate down.
We're going to force Flash away, as well as the explosive cast not available. Will Fire Ninjas be able to find a little bit more? The wave really isn't quite there for him, so yeah, it's going to back away there without being able to claim that 1v1.
Oh man, they get the second Drake as well. So all of the win conditions that we were trying to set up for this XG team are just not going to happen. We wanted to see them stack early Drakes with their bottom lane. That's not occurring. We wanted to see them potentially play around the fact that they have a winning topside matchup. Well, that's not going to happen. And with 3 Grubs, it isn't, you know, the Void Mites coming out, but it's still a lot of damage onto these structures. So it's going to turn into a mid-tier 1 right before the plates fall here. And Crimson is just so turbocharged yet again on his melee mids. Almost level 11 at 13 minutes. Already has a Storm Surge as well. So this guy is going to be banking in gold and with his damage.
Yeah, 50 CS clear of May in the mid lane is... It's rough. It's no other way to describe it. It's kind of... I mean, what do you even do on May at this point? Crimson so far ahead, and Total Red is bot lane once again. TP's coming through, and Prim is just down without anywhere to go. Crimson will try to find Spiritless as well to make this 2-0. Super Mega Death Rocket from downtown makes it 2 kills over the side of TPF Tempest, and even though Phoenix Flare is in the vicinity to try to turn this around, it's just too little too late.
Yeah, now they're just focusing on getting plates for their 2 carries here. Great job.
No,
amazing
they
TP coming in from Crimson.
10 plates?
Yeah, not 10 plates. I think you're still missing 4. They've got 10.
No,
they got 10, finally.
There
we go. I was hoping maybe we would see, you know, we almost got 11 here. Unfortunately, the wave is not in a great spot for Fire Ninjas, but they can take control of this bottom side jungle and kind of see that Chief and Crimson starting to get some goal, or trying to put some vision down, see if they can kind of sneak out and stiff out their opponents. So now for where this game is at, Herald is up for TPF Tempest. They can just walk through mid, clear this wave, and with a turret behind them, it makes it very hard for the enemy team to actually push further into their jungle, as well as get priority in mid lane. This Herald should be going over to the side of TPF, as they have also, I mean, Fire Ninja's just, he is literally proxying waves in top lane right now. They should be able to use this pressure, moving into your jungle, and then just take this objective and look to blow up some more turrets on your way out. Especially with 3 minutes before the dragon, you're going to be putting yourself on soul point. A large amount of lead here for this team already. Almost 7,000 here for this TPF team. And it's kind of unfortunate that this is the you know, it's bittersweet, I think is the more correct word, as obviously we would have loved to have seen this team perform a little bit better during the regular season, but if there's any time for you to do it now, it's got to be here at the very last week here of Diamond League.
They do know that Crimson is in the bot lane, though, so that is one of the biggest, that is the biggest member on the side of TPF Tempest, not in and around for this fight, but it doesn't look like they're going to go for this Rift Herald's contested at all the while. Phoenix Flare kind of heading towards that bottom side of the map. Maybe they can collapse and get a big shutdown on Crimson, perhaps.
I think it's tough. I think it's gonna
tough,
be real tough.
Oh my god!
Especially if he's one-shotting enemy jungle.
I mean, he's put to sleep just before.
There's no way we're walking up.
No, wait, Phoenix Flare, hold on. Why are we walking back? That's spiraling despair, not going to find its target either. So 4 members committed to the bottom side of this map, and they still won't be able to find Crimson. And there was an attempt. There was an attempt.
There was a attempt for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it
and-
was a
wait,
great
hold on.
attempt, but it was
Spoobert may have
something.
stayed too long as well. Toto Durette won't be able to find the slow on the axe, so Spoobert is fine for now. But I mean, with how much they commit there, it's. I mean, what's the way back in for XG Leviathan at this point outside of
The way
TPF
back is to
Tempest
just sign up and do a
literally giving it?
buy-in for next season of Diamond League. And I don't think they have a comeback in this game. It requires the comeback in this game requires for TPF to throw probably 3 fights. I'm gonna give or take 3 fights because they need a fight that makes it so that they're evening some of the gold and specifically trying to get some of the shutdowns. They need a second fight to be able to probably get back for some of the dragons and some of the other standing gold. And the third fight is to kind of be the securing win where they're like, okay, we've now won 3 fights back to back to back or in very dominant fashion that lets us take control of this game. As is right now, they're just going to fall apart.
I mean, we'll have to give it a few more moments. The next Infernal Drake is setting up in 25 seconds. If there is a chance, maybe they find it here, but outside of a miracle, I mean, Crimson is already in around. Anywhere where Crimson is just somewhere where you just cannot be on the side of XG Leviathan and Spoobert. Since Crimson is here, and now Toto Direct and Chief will use the Explosive Cast to get the Olaf away, but will have to flash away to not be hit by Chief, and that won't be available for this next fight, as well as the Explosive Cast not there, so it's just looking, it's gone from worse to abysmal, I guess. So it's not even bad to worse at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the game's been kind of doomed ever since May got solo killed. Essentially solo killed 3 times in the lane, because the first one wasn't even a death, it's when they backed with no items. And then the second one was the actual solo kill, and then Chief came mid and made it 3, so reports of their death greatly exaggerated, although it's going to be now the sole point here for TPF. And I mean, yeah, I'm going to be honest, Isaac, this game's it is very doomed. And I mean, nothing spookier right now on Halloween than to see a 3-0 Diana just walk up and one-shot your carries.
Also sitting on 9 stacks of the Magi's Soul Stealer, getting just few extra stats there under their belt, and that will be the Rift Herald used mid, claiming up that tier 2, just pushing XG Leviathan all that much further back. And hold on, there's just May. Oh, this is May.
Yep.
Oh May.
I mean, what are they gonna do? Even if Lilia
what
comes over
can
here,
you
what
do?
happens, bro?
May
Okay.
flashing away.
Crimson
and
Flash, you're
Crimson
dead. Okay,
will-
nice.
Yeah, trade that back. Phoenix Flare may have come too far. Maybe should have just said that it's over for his teammate. That will be the shutdown going over to Phoenix Flare at the very least. But I mean, they commit so much to that. It's hard. It's hard.
What
Chief
is
will
this build
flash
from
away,
Josh?
but-
Why are we going for RFC? I hate this. I hate this. Josh, please, bro. There's a reason why I could not rate you on the tier list, on the top 5. It's just, please, brother. If you're gonna make playoffs, don't make me sad. I want to see better AD carry play coming out. I know there's a hard game. I know the matchup was there. We could do better. We can always do better. This is honestly really funny to see from Chief, however. A heart steal coming in from our Tompkins support. Alright, never mind, bro. You know what? If my AD carry's gonna build RFC, I'm okay with my support building the heart steal, bro.
Can we get 1 kill on the side? Get 1 kill in return. I mean, this will be going down. Alright, hold on. Fire Ninjas will go all out to try to take this one away. Go and oh, wait. Explosive Cast will knock away, and surely that will be. Yep. Fire Ninja's getting claimed by Spoobert. I don't exactly think that's who you want to see it going over to in this sort of situation,
Yeah,
though. You want to
I'll
find a
be
way
real.
back in.
I don't know how you feel about this, Isaac, but I think that was probably the worst that Fire Ninjas could have played that. I think that was there was a lot of missed abilities. There was
Not the greatest from Fire Ninjas, no.
Yeah,
But
Crimson could just
Crimson's
one-shot
here.
Phoenix Flare.
Flare's taken down to half HP. Maybe not quite one-shotting just yet. Super Mega Death Rocket taking a good chunk of health out of Spoobert and Prim, but won't find the XG on Phoenix Flare. So it will be XG Leviathan alive for now, at the very least.
They even take the Wolves, man. That's crazy. I mean, Crimson has 13 stacks on his Magi. He's got the Shadow Flame. Just do the Baron, please. Just get this game over with. Just go ahead, finish off the Baron. They're going to TP. They're going to try and look for this play. I mean, Phoenix Flare has no way of getting into this pit. He has no flash.
Vision.
There's no blast cones. No vision.
Yeah, half HP on the Baron now, and they have not even moved into the river yet. Yep, that will be a 21-minute Baron going over to the side of TPF Tempest, completely uncontested, and now they'll try to run, start to run forward to try to end this one as fast as possible. Tear Spirit, let's take down Crimson, actually on the other side taking that, but it will be, yep, 3-0 now for the side of TPF Tempest. And really, that's just kind of what you expect at this point. Maybe even May will take it down for. Yeah, stunned up by Fire Ninjas. Doesn't have the. Actually, does have the all out, but won't even, maybe not even have to use it.
I think he's gonna.
Oh, there they go. They will go for it now. But yeah, I mean, okay.
And that's gonna be the end of the game. That's gonna be TPF trying to lock up their spot in playoffs. Obviously, requiring for Art of War to make an insane victory against Grown Boys Click. But a 2-0 to end their season.
Yeah, 2-0 in an extremely dominant fashion as well. One that was, I mean, as close to uncontested as a game of League of Legends can possibly get. So, I mean, they've done themselves all the favors they can, and the rest they can do now is hope Art of War Esports somehow manage to turn that series around against Grown Boys Click. But no news on that just yet. So, unless if it's who was it? It was Crispton who came in earlier and gave us the update there on that series. Unless if we get a very late update on their game too. This will be it for now. I think. Any closing thoughts, Alk Battery? I mean,
one thing
I want.
No, yeah, the gameplay's there. I think I'm going to just talk about stuff that are outside of the game. One, regardless of whether or not they make playoffs, I do want to say congratulations to TPF, regardless of if they make it. They had a very dominant game. Okay, I'm taking this off, guys. It's just not working anymore.
Oh my gosh!
I know. I've been here all this time.
He has black hair? No way.
Yeah. TPF Tempest, regardless of you guys not making playoffs or not, you guys had a pretty strong season. Obviously, it was one filled with a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of hardships. It sucks, but I think that you guys were able to put up, and still being able to make top 6, top 7 of a league is still really impressive, especially with the back end of your season. And for XG, while you do have a lot of E-subs, there is a lot of people who were talking about how strong you guys were in scrims sometimes. And while it is kind of sucks, you still were able to make it. I think with this loss, however, just want to make real quick, that does lock XG at 9th, which kind of sucks, but still glad you guys were here to play the league, and you guys did have some really great games individually. Sometimes you weren't obviously able to pull it into series regarding your own series record, but still, I think being able to play in any competitive format and make a team work, still be able to pick up wins is really impressive, and a lot that some people just can't do by themselves. So I want to say thank you to both of those teams, regardless, for their participation in Blue Water League.
And with that, that will conclude our broadcast of Blue Water Diamond League. To conclude our regular season broadcasts, thank you for tuning in. I've been Isaac, alongside me has been Alk Battery. Behind the scenes making this all work is Wookie Monster. And one final thank you for all the teams who have participated here in this Blue Water Diamond League season here. It's been a long one, but one of our longer ones in in general. So thank you for toughing it out until then. But yeah, with that, we'll have a good night. Have a happy Halloween even.
Happy Halloween!